So this lesson is on finding the slope and y-intercept. Some quick notes, you don't need to write these down, but just read through them with me. You can only find the slope when the equation is in y equals. That was the very first lesson we did, getting y by itself. Slope will be the number with the x, and the y-intercept will be the number that's either added or subtracted at the end. So let's look at this example. This one is actually very, very easy. Find the slope and y-intercept. Well, it's already in y equals, so I don't have to do that. The number with the x is your slope. So if I said, what's the slope? You would say it's 3. The number added or subtracted at the end is your y-intercept. So if I asked for the y-intercept, it would be -5. So your slope is 3, and your y-intercept is -5. Now, of course, it's not always going to be that easy. Let's look at this one. Find the slope and y-intercept. Well, first thing to do is say, is y by itself? Yes, it is. I already got y by itself. If there's no number in front of the x, hopefully by now you remember, we can put a 1 there. So if I said, what's the slope? It's 1. What's your y-intercept? The number at the end is a +4. So your slope is 1, your y-intercept is 4. Okay, first thing is y by itself. Yes, it is. So your slope is the number with x, so your slope is -4. What if it doesn't put a number at the end? If they don't put anything at the end, that means your y-intercept is 0. Not 1, 0. If nothing's at the end, your y-intercept is 0. Okay, let's do one where y is not by itself. So I need to solve for y, which means I want to move my 2x. It's a +2x, and the opposite of a positive is a negative, or subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 2x. So I have 3y equals. Now remember at the very beginning I said, let's go ahead and get in the habit of putting the x first. So I have a -2x, right? I got that from right here. And then it's a +12, so I'm going to put +12. Now, is y by itself? No, it still has a 3 with it. So I'm going to divide by 3, and you have to divide everything by 3. So y equals this -2 divided by 3. You should pull up your calculator. Let me just refresh you. So if I wanted to do -2 divided by 3, you get this decimal, change it to a fraction, and it's -2/3. So -2/3 x plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. So what's your slope? What's with the x? -2/3 is your slope. Your y-intercept is the number at the end, which is a +4. Okay, let's do this one. Is y by itself? Yes, it is. But this one doesn't have an x. There is no x. So if there is no x, that means your slope is 0. They just didn't put it, 0x. So if there is no x, your slope is 0. And your y-intercept is just the number that it equals. So your y-intercept would be 8. Okay, what happens if I give you a table and ask for all of this stuff? Well, you just did lessons on how to find the slope. So remember, to find the slope, you do y2 minus y1 on top and x2 minus x1 on bottom. So I'm going to use this table. I'm going to use x1, x2, y1, and y2. I'm going to plug my stuff in. So y2 is 44 minus y1 is 56. x2 is 3 minus x1 is 2. 44 minus 56 gives me -12. 3 minus 2 gives me 1. -12 divided by 1 is -12. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, so remember on top are my y's. So I'm going to look right here. My y's mean money in savings. So that's money in savings. And my x, which are on bottom, are my time in days. So what does it mean? It means you are losing, because it's negative. I'm going to actually type this out. What does it mean? You are losing $12. Again, it's losing because it's a negative. Losing $12 every day. And I knew it was every one day because I got a 1 on the bottom for my time. So you are, what does it mean? It means you are losing $12 every day. Continuous or discrete? Well, money in savings in dollars, and you're going every day. That means it's going to be discrete because you're only counting days, okay, not all the times in between the days. The domain, remember we write like this, so the domain is 2, 3, 5, and 6. Your range are your y's, which are 56 and 44 and 20 and 8. Write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Well, I know my slope, y equals negative 12x. That's my slope. I do not know my y-intercept, okay? So the way I would do it is I would continue this graph. I would say, what's it going to be at 1 day? And what's it going to be at 0 days? So again, we're going to add 12 because we're going up. So 56 plus 12 is 68. 68 plus 12 is 80. So your y-intercept is at 0, 80. So that means I'm going to end this equation with a plus 80. Find the x-intercept. So your x-intercept, there's a couple ways you can do this. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go to my calculator now that I know the equation. I'm going to type in negative 12x plus 80. And I'm going to hit second graph. Let me get this table. So right here, first up, that's my y-intercept. To find your x-intercept, it's where y equals 0. So it's going to be right here in between 6 and 7. So that didn't help me. So now I got to do it by hand, which stinks, I know. So to find the x-intercept, remember we plug in 0 for y. So I have 0 equals negative 12x plus 80. So I would subtract 80 to move it over. So I got negative 80 equals negative 12x. Divide by negative 12. Negative 80 divided by negative 12 is, let me change it to a fraction, 20 over 3. So my x-intercept is 20/3. I'm going to write it as an ordered pair. What does it mean? It means that in this many days, we'll have 0 money in our account. Your y-intercept is at 80. What does that mean? That means at the very beginning, 0 days, we had $80. All right, let's do another one like this. Find the slope. Again, I'm going to use x1, x2, y1, y2. I'm going to do y2 minus y1 on top. And on bottom, I'm going to do x2 minus x1. So 2550 minus 850 is 17. 3 minus 1 is 2. 17 over 2 is a decimal. Let's change it back to a fraction. So my slope is 17 over 2. What does it mean? Well, my y was money, wages earned, and my x was time in hours. What does it mean? It means you made $17 every 2 hours you worked. Because the 17 was the money and the 2 is how many hours. The equation of the line. Well, I know my slope is 17 over 2, so that goes with my x. My y-intercept, again, I'm going to have to find it. So to do that, I'm just going to extend my table. So I want to know what it's going to be at 0. Remember, we are changing by 17 over 2, which is, as a decimal, 8.5. So it's going to be a 0. If I subtract 8.5 minus 8.5, I get 0. So my y-intercept is at 0. So if you look, it's the ordered pair 0, 0. That means it's also my x-intercept, because 0, 0 is the origin. So it's going to be the x-intercept and the y-intercept. What does it mean? The x-intercept means you worked 0 hours. The y-intercept means you made $0. Which makes sense. If you don't work any, you're not going to get paid anything. So if you will go try worksheet 5.6 and let me know if you need help. Thanks.